Straddling the divide between Europe and Asia, Istanbul is a humming metropolis up there with the best in the world. There are soaring mosques to see, Ottoman-era markets to explore, and countless cafes, bars and restaurants to be found hidden in every Byzantine nook and cranny. In this video, we will discuss how you can budget travel to Istanbul. Let's start with where to stay in Istanbul. Istanbul is divided into European and Asian sides of the Bosphorus Strait, so choosing which side you stay on will depend on what kind of traveler you are and what you'd like to do. For the most part, the Asian side of Istanbul is largely residential. Many of the big attractions, shopping strips and food haunts can be found on the European side of the city. If you want to save time and money on fares traveling back and forth, it's generally a good idea to stay around two of West Istanbul's biggest neighborhoods, Sultanahmet and Beyoğlu, also known as Galata. What's the difference between Sultanahmet and Beyoğlu? For starters, Sultanahmet is often referred to as Istanbul's old city, and most of the city's iconic sites can be found here, including the Blue Mosque, Hagia Sophia, and the Grand Bazaar. There are a number of hotels and hostels in the area, but because of a build-up of tourist hotspots, accommodation here tends toward the pricier side. Just nearby, opposite Sultanahmet, on the northern side of the Golden Horn, is Beyoğlu. Here you'll find Taksim Square, the famous Istiklal Caddesi Boulevard, and Galata Tower. This area has plenty of accommodation options, albeit at a cheaper price. Let's talk now about getting around the city. Navigating Istanbul's tangled city roads can seem overwhelming when you first arrive, but the good news is it's actually very easy to get around. The city has a sophisticated public transport system, including bus, metro, tram and boat to help get you to almost every location. Istanbul's public transport system works on a flat $1 fare for every single-use paper ticket. There are no zones or grading in the metro system, so it's the same fare to reach every destination. However, if you purchase an Istanbul card, your single-use rate can drop to around 50 cents, a 50% saving. The card can be used for the metro, buses, trams, and funiculars. Note that you must have an Istanbul card to use the bus in Istanbul, as these don't have cash machines on board. You can purchase an Istanbul card at automated card machines and kiosks found in almost every metro, tram, ferry or metrobus station. You can purchase one at Ataturk Airport on arrival at the airport station. The card costs around $2 but will come preloaded for your first fare, which is around $1. You can top up your balance as needed at card machines. To use the card, simply tap on the reader when entering a metro station or hopping onto a bus or tram. Let's now talk about how to eat out in Istanbul. Street food is a godsend for travelers on a shoestring, and Istanbul is one of those cities with a proud street food tradition. Keep an eye out for red-topped carts offering a variety of snacks to keep your energy levels up during the day. Every cart owner has their own specialty and turf to cover in the city. Some traders offer simit, which are circular sesame-crusted bread rings, pagaka, a crumbly pastry with a variety of fillings, roasted kestani or chestnuts, and kofte ekmek, char-grilled meatballs on bread. Just remember the rules of street food, such as do go to the more popular carts, as higher customer turnover means food is more likely to be fresh. Do bring your own hand sanitizer to clean up afterward. Do bring cash to pay for your food, as many vendors won't have touch-on payment systems. Don't judge a book by its cover. A grubby-looking cart doesn't necessarily mean the food is unsafe. Instead, observe the vendor before purchasing to see how they handle food. Look for signs indicating whether the food has been waiting around for a while, such as being dried out. Don't be tempted to buy mussels from a street stall. It's better to be safe and buy these from a restaurant. If you're looking to dine in, keep an eye out for tradesman restaurants known as Esnaf Lokantazi. These are homely establishments with rotating menus intended for locals, so they're cheaper than dining at tourist restaurants on the main strips. They're always open for lunch and sometimes for dinner. You can pick a tradesman restaurant by its cafeteria-style setting and simple menus. Expect a meal here to set you back about $4. Drinking alcohol is relatively more expensive in Turkey compared to other parts of Europe. Beer tends to be cheaper at around $5 at a neighborhood bar than wine, which is heavily taxed. If you do choose to eat or drink out, remember tipping is expected at restaurants and bars. Common practice is to tip 10% of the bill at upscale restaurants or 5% at cheaper ones. Here now are some tips for exploring the city of Istanbul. If you play your cards right, it's possible to spend a day out in Istanbul for practically free. Have a browse of local guides such as Time Out, Istanbul and the Guide Istanbul for regular roundups on what is happening in the city. Other ways to keep entertained include checking out street performances on Istiklal Caddesi Boulevard or local musicians performing at metro stations, although remember to give a small tip. Mosques can also be visited for free, provided you are respectful and visit outside main prayer times. Many museums have specific times of the day where entrance is free. One of the best ways to check out the city's biggest highlights is to buy an Istanbul Museum Pass. For around $15, it gives you entrance to dozens of top sites, including Topkapi Palace, Hagia Sophia, Istanbul Archaeological Museums, Istanbul Mosaic Museum, Museum of Turkish and Islamic Arts, plus discounts on a selection of other museums, shops, restaurants, and activities. The museum pass is valid for 120 hours, so you can cram in as much museum hopping as possible. In some cases, the pass can even give you priority access inside, which is especially handy if you're traveling in summer. To get an idea of how much value this pass represents, a visit to Hagia Sophia on its own can cost as much as $5, so the pass is a great